morning or afternoon, probably by the time you guys get this. Let's take a peek at the morning message. You guys can read it. I can't believe it. I was out doing my chores today and time totally passed me by, and then it started pouring. So here we are on a rainy Monday, and you guys are probably going to be wanting to do a lot of homework. Maybe not. I'm going to read to you a little bit. I'll do some phonemic awareness, and then we'll see if there's a mindful minute I can add. So the story I picked out for Monday was The Relatives Came. Scholastic Books is allowing teachers to read these out loud. The story is written by Cynthia Reliant and it was illustrated by Stephen Gamble. This book just makes my heart happy. It reminds me of how much we all want to see our relatives and we all want to be doing things with them, and let's check it out. It was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when their grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a car. And in it they put an ice chest full of soda pop, some boxes of cracker, and some bologna sandwiches. And up they came from Virginia. They left at 4 in the morning when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. They drove all day long and in the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us too, waiting for them. So they drank up all their pop and they ate up all their crackers and they traveled up all those miles until they finally pulled into our yard. And then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us up against their wrinkled Virginia clothing, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. Boys and girls, at this point I might have you turn and talk to your partner, but we're not at school, so we can't turn and talk. But what would you tell your friends right now? What's different? Are you getting to see all your relatives like you might normally get to? If you took a road trip to go see your family, would you pack soda pop? No. Would you pack crackers? Maybe, Mrs. Marmite. But bologna sandwiches, I wouldn't either. I don't think my children would eat them. And of course, because of the yucky bug and the social distancing, the hugging part is probably the part I'd miss the most with my friends and family. Then it was into the house, and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways. You'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. And finally, after a big supper, 2 or 3 times around until we all got around the table, there was quiet talk, and we were in 2s and 3s through the house. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good since there weren't any extras. So a few squeezed in with us and the rest slept on the floor. Some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across a person and a leg across another. It was different going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. I love even the dog gets to sleep in the house over there. Look at him. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden and they fixed any broken things that they could. Some of us might be needing haircuts right about now. Look at that. What else are they doing? Looks like the children are playing games. Looks like they made a cardboard fort. Wow, lots of fun things going on. They ate up all the strawberries and melons and then promised we could eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. Look at the neat instruments they have, boys and girls. A cello, a guitar, a banjo, a violin. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging, eating, and breathing together. Oh, here they're getting their picture taken. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road. And then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet, and we fell asleep. And the relatives drove on all day and into the night, and while they traveled, they looked at the strange houses and the different mountains, and they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about next summer. The end. I really felt like that was a great book to think and talk about characters, what happened at the beginning, middle, and end with your family, and just think about the fun you're going to have when all of this is over. For phonemic awareness today, I'm going to say a word like the word can. And can has a short A sound. So I'm going to have you switch the sound to cane. Put the long vowel on it. Let's do it together. Pet. Now if you switch that to a long E, it becomes someone's name. What would it be? Pete. How about bit? Change it to a long I, it becomes bite. How about the boy's name, Rob? Change it to a long O and you get robe. The word cut, and you change it to a long U, you get cute. First graders, can you do, I'm going to say a word and you're going to break it up into phonemes. So if the word was bedtime, I want you to chop it out. I'm 6. And you can use your choppers. I'm just holding the iPad up, so I'm a little bit behind here. How about papers? P-A-P-ers. I hear 5. Pancakes. Oh, those sound yummy. Pancakes. Windshield. Windshield. Pillowcase. Chop it out, everybody. And continent. Go for it. That's a big one. First graders, be amazing today. It's a rainy day. See what fun you can have at home inside, playing with your toys, building blocks, maybe taking a brain break. Be amazing.